Good morning. Happy Friday. This is Pastor Misty, and I'm in one of my happy places. I get to come here and walk to this park whenever I get my oil changed in one of my cars. So while one of my vehicles is getting serviced, I am attending to my soul out here in this beautiful area park with a fountain, and there's a playground over there. So I hope that you all are doing well today. I had on my mind today the chapter of John, the Gospel of John, chapter 3, which is really interesting because we learn to memorize John 3:16, and we post that all the time, for God gave his only son, right? And my husband's favorite verse is 3:17, which is that the Son of God did not come to condemn, but to save the world. And those are my own paraphrasing. Please go back and read them yourself and take into your heart what God is leading you to take in from those verses. But I was led to talk a little bit about and think a little bit and pray a little bit about the whole chapter of John 3 today, because it starts with this conversation with Nicodemus, who comes to Jesus in the middle of the night asking him about what he's been teaching to everybody. And he says, I know that you're a teacher sent from God. And Nicodemus is also a teacher. And so he's really struggling with what Jesus has been doing in the world, all the signs he's been given, all the miracles he's been performing, all this great work. And I wonder if Nicodemus had a little envy, because he was also a faith leader, and yet he wasn't seeing the world the same way that Jesus was, or performing the same acts that Jesus was. And Jesus talks to him, and we often read it as that people need to be born again, born of water and the Spirit. And Nicodemus has a lot of trouble with that, and we have a lot of trouble with that. Nicodemus thinks literally one has to be born another time out of a womb, and he's like, I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. And Jesus says, no, you need to be born of the Spirit. You need to look at the world differently. You can't just look at the world through the lens that that the world has given you, right? It's different. What I'm teaching is different. And translations in Greek say that born again can actually be translated as born from above, right? Which is that place where God exists, that we think theologically that God exists above, that spirits reside above. And so just, taking time today to remember that the world around us teaches us to view it differently than Jesus wants us to view it. And Jesus wants us to be in tune with our spirits, in tune with others and their spirits, and not look at things through the lens of power or the lens of scarcity. And people who live in the world, it goes on in chapter 3, people who live in the world as the world would want them to see it, suffer. They really do. And so he talks about condemnation, that he wasn't being sent to condemn the world. He was not being sent to condemn the world. That those who did not listen to him and hear about what it meant to live in the Spirit were already suffering, because they were looking at the world through the lens of power and scarcity instead of abundance and the Spirit. So that's my interpretation today of John 3, and I hope that you will take that, you'll pray about it, go back and read John 3, see what God is saying to you in it, and let's just be in an attitude of prayer now in this beautiful place. Holy and loving God, thank you for your witness. Yes, God, your witness. Thank you for sending your Son, Jesus, to tell us about the Spirit and what it means to live in you and live in the Spirit, God. Help us to focus on those things, especially, God, when the real world, it's all real. The Spirit is real, and this physical world is real, and it's all closely tied together. But help us to see beyond just what we have in front of us. Help us to have faith, to trust, to look at each other beyond what we see, get to know someone. God, help us get to know others in this spirit level and not in this worldly level, because maybe someone has done something to turn us off or says something and we're like, no, 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 no. But God, help us to see the spirit inside of them. God, you want us to have compassion and not judgment. You do not want us to judge. You want us to have mercy and love one another and help one another when they need help. Lord, tell us that, because we don't want to be looking at everyone saying, oh, you need help and you need help, right? Because that's just a form of judgment. God, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you, to hear your voice and your word, to get to know your Son, Jesus. Help us to live in the Spirit. Amen. Amen.